So typically you would have this pattern here, right? Right. And so that would be your peak, your one, your two, and your three. But why do some have four and not just three? So why do some look like this, where it has three down and an extra four? You know what I mean? The only reason that this one has extra one down is because by the time they got to this third one, instead of coming back up again, they didn't have enough people selling to do so. So they needed to go down one more level to get more people to sell. You have to think about the psychology
Right.
of
Yeah.
how this works with retail traders. The majority of retail traders, right, they're not going to get into the trend here. Some will get here, most will get here. So the mindset is like, you're thinking this is when this happens here and they're right here. Whenever you have a peak and you have level one here and it drops, this gets people's attention. This gets the retail traders' attention, right? When it gets to level two and they're doing this and they do this, I would say if you have 100 traders, retail traders, right, that are watching this, I would say good maybe 30% to 40% of them are going to get in here on a trend, right? And then you get this right here. This gets the rest. This gets the bulk of the traders going into the trade because they've seen it twice already. Okay, this is a good. They start putting in their trend lines, right? They're like, this is a good trend. So I'm going to get in here. And this is the worst possible place to get in at. The problem is that what happens is when you make a move or when they make a move, they expect to get a certain number of contracts each time they retrace. When they don't get that number of contracts, they have to go one more down because they have to convince more people to sell. The biggest disadvantage that we're all going to have, no matter what strategy you trade, is the fact that you don't know the numbers that they need.
Right.
That's the problem.
So, Mark, along with that, then is fundamentally the reason for a reset that people are starting to, in this case, go bearish, and so they're gonna like knock all of their stop losses out before going bearish again, or
Yeah, so think of it like this. All right, so if you're talking about, this is just to say this is like three levels and then a peak formation, right? So if you're talking about a reset, then we're not talking about they need more traders to go down one more level. Now we're talking about they need to get to a certain number, right? So we're not talking about levels anymore. We're talking literally about numbers. So if this started at like 140, 143, let's say, right? But their overall number that they're trying to get to before they make a huge reversal is like, let's say, 133. Well, you can't get from 143 to 133 just by dropping, three levels because the gap is going to be way too big. It's way too big of a move pip wise, you know? So you could do three levels down, let's say, to get to maybe, 138, 139, go up one level, and then reset it so you can keep going to 133.
got it.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So the resets are already pre-planned to begin with.
that makes a lot of sense.
You know. So there's two different reasons why they would reset versus why they would just go one level more down. And so you can take it to a macro level or a micro level on a intraday chart of a 15-minute chart of like, having the Asian session, right? And then them going up for like a type 1. Well, why would they go up higher and then come down again? Why not stop here? What's the reason that they need to do this?
They want to convince everybody to go
Right.
bullish, so they're trapping them.
They need more people, right? Exactly. They need more people, right? So, what's the difference between them doing that versus doing this on a type 1? Is because they already have the people, or them doing this on a type 1 because they already have enough people trapped, so they don't need to go back all the way back up. They go all the way back up, they let people out with a break even trade. The only thing that we have that we can use to try to identify this is literally the behavior of the candlesticks that they present. This is why we talk about railroad tracks on the second leg or star patterns on the second leg or a pattern where you have two dojis and then, you know, a solid, um, two solid bars next to each other after that. These are all patterns. That's all that is. These are all behavioral patterns that we've seen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So, what other questions you guys have with levels, weekly cycles?
So, just how do I want to explain this or ask this? So, a lot of times, probably depending on the time frame you're looking at, the level or the reversal will only maybe be a simple V or just a couple of candles. Is that invalidated, or is it just kind of because you can recognize where it's at and what it's doing? It doesn't matter how many it is, and it's still valid. Does that make sense?
So, are you talking about intraday? Are you talk which in which way are you talking about with those? Like
Let's say when you get down to the micro, so 15 minutes or maybe an hour, but usually 15 minutes.
okay. So, what I found is that if you're taking one-legged V's like this, so if you have your Asian session, and then you have the drop, and then it comes back up again. What's the setup? Typically, you're looking at railroad tracks that happen here, right?
Right.
The problem that I have with this is that over an extended period of time, when you just trade that, you end up being wrong more than you're right.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's why I don't trade just those V's like that.
Would you count that as a level though, as you're looking at the levels?
Would I consider that as a level?
Yeah. You know, give me a sec. Maybe I can find a quick example that I could ask you to look at. That might be helpful.
Yeah.
Everybody else can continue. I'm gonna go check.
Hey Mark, I'm not sure how to ask this,
You just ask.
but as I'm backtesting, and when you're backtesting, I guess you can't see the future. I create these levels, and I tend to get lost in those levels because I'll create level one, and then as I thought it was level one, and then it'll just reset, right? And it'll go down, and then I'm like, okay, so it's a reset, and then it'll go back. Well, it wouldn't go back up necessarily, but I'll just either get lost in between those resets, or I'll get lost in between smaller levels versus bigger levels.
Yeah. It's lack of experience, my friend. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
It's just lack of experience. And so I think, you're going to get to a point where you're going to either realize that you're good at levels or you suck at levels. And it's okay either way. Because just if you suck at levels, that doesn't mean that you can't trade, you know? It just means that your perception of what a level is just not correct. So then you got to ask yourself, am I better at studying weekly cycles than I am levels? What do you think?
Personally, I feel like I'm a lot better with levels more than weekly cycles. That's for sure. I just need to polish, I guess, like you said, the experience, resets. That's one thing I had like a little trouble in the homework, and I guess even the exam, the resets. I guess I gotta get like a lot better than what I am today.
Yeah. So, I mean, the resets themselves, listen, I think that a lot of people think that, just after like a couple of weeks or something, that they're going to be pretty good at identifying levels. Like, just to give you a premise of, for me, like, it took a long time, probably like, I don't know, maybe at least a year and a half for me to really get it. And by the way, I'm not in no way perfect either, because I'll look at some charts and I'll be like, I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at. So I just skip the chart, you know? So if you think that you're bad now, I mean, think about, it's like you trying to do open heart surgery when you haven't gone through school yet. Or let's say you're trying to do open heart surgery while you're in the middle of school. You haven't even gotten the residency yet. You're still doing the book stuff. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely. That's a good way of putting it.
I mean, it literally just takes, it's just time. That's it. It's
Is there
time. We just want it all right now.
is there certain rules? Because I do see that when resets are bound to happen, either the 200 or the 800 EMA would probably act as a resistance. Would that be a useful tool? I guess I could use
It'd be
for
useful if you use that on the 1 hour chart.
on the 1 hour chart. The 800 or the 200.
So if you get to identify peak formation high or low, and price gets stopped on a 200 or on an 800 and bounces off, right? Gives you like a weird pattern of like that V shape or something, right? So if you get something like you get the M, you're here, right? But you get this, but you're expecting that. Do you get what I'm saying? And the
Exactly.
200 seems to be there, or the 800 is here. Either the 200 or the 800 is right there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pretty
So
good
it's,
indication.
yeah, it's used as support or resistance.
Right. It just all it wanted to do was basically come price was too separated from the 200 that it wanted to come back, touch it, and then keep going.
You said we're gonna have a class on the EMA and how they behave and react and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Um, Another question also, what when I'm I don't want to see, I don't want to use the word predicting, but when I'm trying to figure out where price is going to go next, I use the ADR times three. That usually actually is like really really helpful with indicating where price is going. It's just sometimes I guess the ADR does change, and you know you'll have a 500 and then you'll have a 200, right? And then it'll kind of get mixed in between, and that's where I also kind of get lost as well.
What do you mean a 500 and a 200?
So you know, if what was it like? If the daily ADR is like, let's say 140, so you times that by three. I'm not sure
Right.
what the exact number would be, but it'd be around the like 400 or 500, I guess, right? Uh, you know, you'd expect that the price would go based on the directional bias that you have from the peak high, that price would go all the way down 500 pips and then, you know, create another peak low, right?
Right. So think about the logic that you just said right there, right? That would be like very cookie cutter, right? That'd be a very repeatable thing. Go up 500, come down 500, go up 500, come down 500, right? So that would mean basically that you're just doing going up 500, coming down, going up, coming down, coming up, coming down, right? How can you have a pattern like this if you're constantly doing this? Do you get what I'm saying? So think about it like this. At three times ADR, you should be looking for evidence. That doesn't mean that at three times ADR, God Himself said it's going to strike down upon thee and turn price around, right? Three times ADR is typically what they do in one direction. That doesn't mean that they can't go four or maybe 3.5. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right,
If
right.
it was three every single time, like we wouldn't even be talking. Sometimes it's going to be 2.8 times. So at three times, start looking for evidence. Are you maxed out on the ADR on the are you maxed out at the bottom here on the TDI? Are you close to the bottom, close to the top? Are you perhaps close to the middle where it could bounce off? You know, all these things matter. So this is 2 times 8. This is 4. This one right here is 4.5. This one's 4.5. This one's 3. Do you see what I'm saying? They're all different. They're not all exactly the same. This one's 4. This one's 4.5. You see what I mean?
Right.
They're all different. They're not all going to be the same. And that's on purpose. If it was all the same, I mean, it'd just be way too easy. Way too easy. What are the questions?
Mark, I think I answered my own question, kind of looking back at my charts and looking at your GU you have up right now. I think sometimes on your 1 hour right now, it might only look like one or two candles, which was making me nervous. Like, can it only be one or two or three candles? But then when you go down to the 15 minutes, it's a lot bigger, which kind of helps to validate it as a level versus just like a peak.
Gotcha. Yeah, by the way, if you go down to like those V's and stuff like that you're talking about, I mean, if they're like railroad tracks on a 15-minute chart, if you go like on a 5-minute chart, they're like a W. If you go on a 1-minute chart, you'll see a W there or something. Let's do. All right, who was it that wanted to do gold? That sent me a message.
It was me, Daniel.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I've seen quite a bit of those. What have you seen on gold a lot, Daniel? That you were talking about there.
Oh, those V tops or V bottoms. I see
Oh, okay, yeah,
quite a few of those.
gotcha. All right, so let's do some plan on gold here. All right, so let's play this out and see what happens on gold here. So I mean, if you're looking at this, what's the only option that you have?
Probably a continuation for me is what I would think.
We are going into the U.S. session there. So I'd be looking at that right there. Sunday, Monday. You're coming off of a pretty big uptrend here. Now, the thing with gold is that the stop losses are going to be way bigger than on the regular candle. So that's what, like, that's 40. It's a 40 pip stop. Generally looking for anything under 60 would be good. If you can get a pullback, it'd be better. And then ideally, I mean, you got to look at what's, where could you take profit at? It's at 60 there, so I don't necessarily think that would be a good risk to reward ratio. I don't think. Typically, you'd want to go for what was it, 1.5, 1.5 to 1 risk reward ratio on gold. So, I mean, you'd want to get a pullback. If you can get a pullback on the next candle, that'd be the better ideal thing. What happens in this next candle? Yeah, so you get a pullback to where here. So I mean that like barely makes the cut right there of a 1.5 to the 200. And
I
you
have
see
another
that,
question, Mark.
yeah,
So for gold, I know you don't count it the pips the same way.
yeah.
What's the equivalent?
What do you mean equivalent?
Well, so like where you have your stop loss, how many pips is that?
So that's so you see how it says 360?
Right.
This 360.4. It's basically a decimal off. So you move the decimal over ahead of the zero, so it's 36 pips.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But you're
36
not
pips.
looking for like a 15 pip kind of
No, I
stop
mean,
loss
if
on gold.
you have a
Okay.
15 pip stop loss, like you're getting stopped out probably like in the next candle for
Okay.
sure.
So you typically like for the regular pairs, you typically do like 15 or so. What would you say you would do for gold?
Gold is 60.
60? Okay.
Yeah. 60 for 120 to try to get 120. All right, so where is that's our range. So the question becomes, do you want to go lower or do we want to, are they going to basically go lower or is it going to stay in that range, in this range set by Sunday, Monday's high and lows? So that's the question. For me, like me looking at this, I'd ideally want a break, price to break below this stuff here. All these three lows here, like the peaks of them, not just like, the the majority, but like the actual peaks, if you go to like the that's right, I wrote these with the stupid pen. So if I were to go to a 1 hour time frame, you see how the wicks are actually full blown candles.
Yeah.
You see that? So I want to clear those candles, not the wicks. So I want to clear all this stuff here. So my range that I'm thinking in my head is like 1794 to like the top here. My actual like real range in my head is like 1794 to 1815,
Mm-hmm.
not just Sunday Monday's high. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So any break above that would cause um a major move basically in in one direction. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would be ideally that's what I'm waiting for is a break above one of those two things.
And is that why you took a short on Monday? You were looking at the range at the top?
Right. So I'm looking at this as being at the time I'm looking at this as a possible peak. So I'm interested in reversals.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming off of a big trend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Cause see, I was looking for a buy.
Yeah. So you have when the trend is obvious, I want to do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So the trend is obvious. We haven't really made a move yet. So this was shorter. This failed to take out this high and go higher. So we're kind of losing steam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you look at, let's say, like that's a shitty ass line. That's another shitty line. If you look at where the TDI is compared to this, so you have one here, the first one, the second one's down here.
Oh, yeah.
By the time this third one is, it's all the way over here. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So typically, if we're like going higher, we'd still be up here somewhere, wanting to go up. That's what I was just trying to do the opposite, basically, of what everybody else would be doing. So, like, if you look at this on a 15-minute chart now, going into London, like, because I'm down here in the bottom half of this, right? This provides an opportunity to possibly do a bounce off of this or off of this. Do you get what I'm saying? So the EMAs are going to act as basically resistance, moving resistance. So you just wait to see what price action tells you, what price does, how price reacts.
Well, Mark, this is kind of a good example, is it not, of what you and I were talking about on Friday, where they could get trapped in between the two EMAs and, it's going to take a minute and,
Right. Yes. We were just talking about that. Yeah.
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 I noticed that the second leg right there was like a little bit lower than the first one. Well, now it just went up more, but
Yeah, so you got to look at the fact that, all they're doing is they're working a range right here, right? And so until they're done working that range, they're just going to keep doing that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you want to find something that tells you that they're done, with that range. So like, see that big spike down there? See how they're no longer up here. Now they're like down here now. So you essentially have like, I think the problem is that to get, to a take profit point here is going to be too short. So it's like 53, but then you're risking, like 40.
it's basically just a one.
It's a 1-to-1. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a 1-to-1. I mean, to make it work, you literally would have to be like here. But then at that point, you're really gambling because the next freaking candle could literally just take you out, and you just gave him free money for nothing. So you see, there's your see that pattern there. That's a W there. See that? That's like a if you
Star.
zoom out, yeah, it's a star pattern. But you see what they did? It literally just went down. Railroad tracked.
Yeah.
They came all the way down. They're not coming back from this. They're gonna go up to here. They're gonna try to work their way back up.
And what gave that away for you on the 15-minute? Was it that W and that star pattern right there?
Well, this right here is one. This, you just see it so many freaking times. So you get a big candle followed literally by 3 like dojis, and then another one, another full candle moving away from it, and they come back, retest. It's almost like you almost want to say like it's a freaking inverted head and shoulders, that's on a 15-minute chart.
So now we're just looking at an accumulation cycle, right?
You got it. You got it.
And then the way all those candles right there held.
Yeah. So an accumulation cycle. So really, you're really interested in price to come up to here, get some kind of reaction up here, and then sell, and then try to make it down here. That's it.
I was about to say, if that was a W right there, would you be interested in that to go up to the top, or just strictly going from the top back down?
I would want to go from the top back down. I would want to go from the top.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to go from
From the
down
middle,
here.
because it can go both ways.
Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't want to do that. I was gonna say this brings me to a good point here of what Rain was talking about earlier. Was that the V's? There's one right there. See, it goes up to the line, makes a railroad track. This spike here
I was about to say, they usually have a
goes
pretty
it
good
away.
spike.
Well, the spike in itself is, 16, 17 pips. But with the spread on gold, that's typically a lot bigger than normal. That's actually more like a 25 pip move. So the spread brings it all the way up here. So you have like your bid and ask lines, that are moving up and down, up and down, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Come all the way up here. And so this would be one of those V's that would come down. You see that?
Mm-hmm. That one big candle equals like the rest of those.
Right. More importantly is is that they're spiking it, but they're not coming down to it. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So these are just behaviors that you'd be looking for. Like it's like I know what it's going to do, but I don't want to take trades because I hate trading accumulation cycles.
Yeah,
Save my life.
I, I'm having a hard time with them.
So see, you see that?
Yeah,
Why would they perfectly come down to the same point?
3 times.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then this candle here tells you that they're not coming back. So you see that? So same thing, you're looking for sells. right? The ideal cell would be like a type 2 here. This 50 right here is going to act like a freaking wall probably. And so you might get a type 3 instead.
So right here, would you be looking for a type 1W?
No. My bias would be to sell, not to buy. I'm only interested in buying when it gets down here because you're in an accumulation cycle.
Yeah, but I meant like if it goes down further on New York and then goes back up.
I would still want to buy. I would still want to sell. I wouldn't want to buy.
Okay.
Hey Mark, could you zoom out just 1 second? Okay, so over there is peak high. You're still in the peak high zone, right?
Am I still in a peak high zone? Well, I mean, if I'm in an accumulation cycle, I'm not in a peak.
You're not in. Okay.
You know, this is all just building out one big level on a higher time frame. That's all that's doing.
I see. So this whole thing is a level, but
Yeah, it's an
it's not the
accumulation cycle, right? So what's an accumulation cycle? It's just building out a level. That's all it's really doing. I'm not interested in in buying until it gets to the bottom. And
right.
so if you're looking at you know wanting to pick out peaks and stuff like that, I mean, at the beginning of the week, you could have said this was a peak, right?
Right. Right.
But I mean, as you start to go along, you realize that this can't be a peak if I'm building out a level.
Mm,
You
okay.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If
Okay.
this was a peak here, price would be like down here
Right.
at a
Right.
level,
Right. Right.
not at the same level building it. That doesn't make sense.
See, that's where I would get confused because I would zoom in and then I would create all these small ass levels in between
Yeah.
this whole consolidation zone, and then that's where I'd like completely get mixed up with resets and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you. It's going to take a long time to get levels.
Yeah.
That's not. It's not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's just the reality of it. You know, unless you're going to spend the next freaking I don't know how many months every day just plotting out levels and stuff. I'm sure you got other things better to do.
Right. Do you believe I could be over and analyzing it?
I think we all start to overanalyze stuff
Right.
at some point. I think if it's getting harder for you to see stuff, like you need to literally take a break and like zoom out and look at you're zooming in way too much. You know, it's like you're imagine you're on was that thing Google, is it Google Earth, where you can zoom in and out of the Earth? You know what I'm saying? You're like zoomed in into like freaking city streets and shit when you should be zooming the fuck out and looking at like countries. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Most definitely.
So the reason I wouldn't be looking for buys either is that those two EMAs are trying to ruin your party of trying to buy because they're literally right there. And what happens every time that price goes up to them,
It's pin board.
right? So that's why.
Also, with the 50 crossing the 200 like that, is that like another indication too?
I mean, they're both going to be together anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So the crossover part has no effect on me. No.
Okay.
It's just the fact that they're there and that they're just holding price like hostage. It's like you just had like the bigger move. So you had people thinking this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This right here. Do you see? This is like the same pattern I kept on
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
Two dojis.
Big fat candle, two dojis, and another fat candle. I guarantee you this goes down. Look at what this is doing here. This is going up while this is going down.
Divergence.
Yes. All right, so it is Friday.
Yeah.
All right, so Friday. So remember, we're back at these levels down. Remember 1794 that I talked about? So now that we're down here, now ideally the thing that I'd be looking for is buys. Since we're down here, I'd be looking for buys.
Even with the EMAs above like that, all of
Yeah,
them.
you can use the EMAs as take profits if you want to. If they really want to go further down, like if they want to go further down, they got to come down here first. They got to come to 1794 first.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They have to come down here first before they can go higher. They're not just going to come midway. They're going to come down here if they want to break and go lower. They got a lot of space to do it too, but until they do that, I'm gonna keep riding with their little range that they've given me here.
Mhm.
In other words, all this stuff is pre-planned.
What stuff is pre-planned?
So them not wanting to go and touch that level and come back up.
Well, no, what I'm saying is for me, like I'm not looking to sell unless they break 1794.
Oh, I see. I see.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I know that once they break 1794, I mean, I got nothing but open space.
Yeah, it's gonna keep going.
You know what I mean? So right now, unless they do that, I'm not interested. I'm only interested in buying now because I'm at the bottom of the weekly range. You see that candle right there? This candle right here just took out all these. So it took out what, 6 candles? So like what, an hour and a half almost
Hmm.
of trading back and forth in a small range. So I would be looking, like I highly doubt it, but it'd be nice if they come down and do that. I think the biggest problem is again is that 50 there. Yeah. They're done. They're not coming back. There's one take profit.
Thing took off, didn't it?
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. Look, they spiked it twice.
Hmm.
Same area right here. They ain't coming back. They have no interest in coming back.
So as you're going through all this, you're paying attention to what level you're on, right?
I'm still at the same level. I'm still at just level.
No, I know that. I know that. It's just you know what level you're on, as in like you're level 2, level 3.
I haven't even looked at levels. I'm only doing it just solely based off of weekly cycles.
Yeah, I took that in.
I haven't even looked at the levels or anything. Just strictly off a weekly cycle. That's it. So now you're in the middle. This is a new week, Monday. You're still in that range.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, would you still be like trading it like an accumulation?
Well, I mean, on a new week, right? Ideally, you'd want to wait to see what the hell happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that we're still trading on a higher time frame, even all the way up to the 4-hour time frame, we're still above the 50. See what I mean?
Hmm.
So if you look at the higher time frame, what does that tell you? Just by looking at that, do you think that they're coming back down anytime soon?
No.
They'd have to, for them to come back down, they have to come up here and then come back down, right?
Hmm.
They haven't done that yet. So
I mean, and then it still has a possibility of just breaking, right?
that's correct. Yeah, it could do that too. Yeah. So you're in an uptrend, right? You go up to the 4 hour time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clear as day. What are you doing? You're right. You're in an
Yeah.
uptrend, right?
Those EMAs are spread out far.
Oh my god, I love this. That would be a candle right there that I would want to um, look at possible entries on.
And why is that?
Well, you have the 50 here, right? You have the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
range here. They spiked to the 13, now they spiked to the 50. They didn't spike to the middle of the range, right?
Yeah.
So ideally, in the pattern that I want is this could be a first leg. So I really want a second leg. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To really spike the middle of the range. The ideal setup that I want is one where you can get a nice spike to the middle where the body, let's say, is here, and then you get a spike that's like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you get like a railroad track or something like that here on a second leg. Hmm. Oh, wow, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's, again, hits the 50, but not the freaking. That's really annoying. That one right there. You see that one?
Yeah.
That's a motherfucker right there.
Uh,
That's the one. Yeah, so it's only 25 pips. That's definitely the one. Where is. Where's the thing at? It's here. So. Man, the best possible entry would be like the middle of that candle. Whether you get it or not, it's a whole different story, but that would be the better entry. So here you got 25, and then obviously that's well over 2 to 1. The better entry though, if you can get half, if you can get a pullback on half the candle, that'd be freaking amazing. Because now you're only talking about like 20 pip, 20 pip stop loss or so, somewhere around there. But really, if you can get to these highs here from the previous week, like a spike or something, that would be best.
Here's the pullback.
Almost hit it too. Almost hit the middle of the candle there.
There it is.
That's a big ass spike. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at this. So notice something about Sunday, Monday, how it just went up. You really didn't have a pullback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of tells me you're probably going to be out of that accumulation cycle because now you're above it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're just looking for buys. You see that? Now it's all about buys now. I'd only want to get buys. You see what I mean? You see why I'm only
Mm-hmm.
looking for buys? Do you see why I'm looking for buys? Ain't nothing up here but blue stuff. Do you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If there's any fucking thing like any of those memes or whatever, to the moon, this is what I would be talking about, to the moon. Because ain't shit out here but stars.
Uh,
You see what I mean?
yeah.
Ain't nothing out here but stars. So, all right. So if I'm looking for buys, I'm looking for good old faithful to come on, pull up for me. And I'd be looking for probably a spike. Not even a spike, but a freaking something off of this. That's what I'm looking for. This good old faithful right there. Will never let you down. Spikes to the top, bottom. See that? Did you see the candle there? There's this candle here, all this little group here. This candle actually spiked the top. So if you take off the range, see how this one spiked the top of the range?
Mm-hmm.
That's your trade right there, man. Is this after this candle right here? Just took out this entire block of trading. So that's your candle. That's your entry. And to the moon she goes.
Is that a on the edge trade right there?
Yeah, that would be on the edge trade because you're like literally in the first two things of whatchamacallit, of London.
Mm-hmm. And do you only take those trades at the beginning of London?
When they happen, yeah, it's gonna be at the beginning of London, yes.
Okay. To the moon, huh?
To the moon.
Looks like one directional, so we're expecting a. Oh, never mind, jinxed it.
Jinx what?
I was hoping for a market maker cycle, huh?
Nah, brother, you ain't getting a market maker cycle on this, bro. There's no reason to have any kind of market maker, nothing. This is on a rocket ship right now.
Hmm.
This is on a mission going straight to freaking Mars, dude. Nothing at all. It's left Kennedy Space Center, bro.
So that's interesting. Whenever it's like at an all-time high, I don't expect any of those like market maker cycles,
No, why would you expect?
level making.
I mean, look, it don't even wait.
Dang.
Doesn't even wait, man.
Well, Mark, like you say, the market maker cycle weeks are for creating, the highs and the lows, and you just broke out. So it wouldn't make sense for it to be happening yet. So,
Right.
right?
Correct. What makes sense here? The trending cycle.
Right.
I can tell you this day is probably going to be blown because of that range right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even going to have any kind of a possible, whatchamacallit, trade or whatnot. So it's just this range is blown out by freaking, it's a 200 pip range. So says what, Thursday.
So you wouldn't enter on that second level leg of the W in the New York session?
I mean, you can enter it here if you never got into it down here. Do you know what I mean? You're saying if you miss this trade down here?
Yeah.
Because if I made this trade here, I wouldn't be I'm already in the trade.
You'd just be holding it.
Why would you not be holding is my question. Like, why would you not be holding it?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Just ask yourself that question. Why would you not be holding it?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Unless being not sure.
Well, that's a whole different story then.
Yeah.
Like literally, there's nothing here. It's a blank screen.
So how long would it go up for?
Until it runs out of rocket fuel. That could be like, shit, I don't know. There's nothing. I mean, if you think about it, there's nothing here. Right? Look,
Wow.
there's
Even on
nothing
12
here.
hour.
You can go to daily. There's nothing here. Here's your first chance to stop. Is all the way up here. So somewhere up here is
Damn.
where stop. So there, that's 1900. That would be your stopping point there. 1900.
That's insane.
So yeah, 1900 would be your stopping point. So like if it doesn't go from here up, might get a pushback. Maybe to the 200 would be pretty cool. But I mean, if not, it's just going to keep going. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Shit, there's a continuation trade right there. So Friday, I mean, same thing. See if you get a move all the way up here. Keep that going. And there she goes right there. Boom.
What was telling you it was going to keep going up from right there before that big candle?
Before this candle here?
No, that second big blue
This
one.
one?
Yeah.
Well, the fact that it was doing this, it went from here, bounced off the 50.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just
And it's higher, yeah.
Just keep going. So yeah, there you go, 1900. And settled in for the week there. And look, it opens up higher, probably goes higher. How high does this thing go? Shit.
Yeah.
Keeps going.
I remember that was induced by the COVID and whatever was going on, right?
But this is all during COVID, yeah. This is like July, so
So there was a sense of market sentiment that was involved in this, right?
I'm sure it has. There's probably your first sign of possible reversal right there. That's your first possible sign of reversal right there. Is that right there? You know?
Yeah.
And that's super early on in Asia, so but yeah. So an accumulation cycle followed by a ridiculously big trending cycle. And let me just here, let's see this on the 1 hour chart real quick. I'm kind of curious where this goes. So that was what, Tuesday. Okay. So look, Tuesday it went down, came back up. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that tell you? What would that tell you right there?
Gonna keep going up.
You didn't have a full day of drop or anything like that.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You traded, you were above, you went above Sunday, Monday's high. So this is probably going to be another trending cycle. Probably going to be another trending cycle. Yeah, see? Capped it right. So look at that. Look at that.
Wow.
Goes
So
up.
3 trending cycles.
Yep. There it is. There's your reverse right there.
Dang.
There you go. Look at that thing. So interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. What questions do you guys have?
Level are you now? I'm just playing on. Yeah, I pretty much got it. How you put weekly cycles and um, like all that stuff together. It's just
All right. Well, you guys have any questions?
Is this being recorded and is it going to be uploaded?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it for me.
Yeah. Thank God I caught myself, because if I didn't, I would have not recorded it. But yeah, it'll be up on the site here in a couple of hours.
Okay.
thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
You guys have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Be safe.
You too. Thank you.
Yep.